is all about and how that continues. The fight on corruption goes on, and page 5 has a story: Kidero stay in police cells extended after being behind bars for 3 nights. Former governor awaits court's decision on his bail application, but he's crying foul. He says that it's not being handled fairly, and there seems to be an attempt to deny him bail, whereas we've seen others who've been given bail fairly easily, despite the fact that it's been a high bail. But your thoughts on the war on corruption? Of course, would not want to comment on this because it's in terms of the whether they're being unfair or not, because that's a decision we would leave to the court. But your thoughts on the war on corruption, Honorable Amisi?
Yeah, I think I've said it before. Corruption in this country has reached a magnitude that we do not necessarily have to depend on the judiciary. I mean, countries that have fought corruption of this high level, you've seen what happened in Malaysia when the former Prime Minister took over, and they actually jailed all the ministers who were involved in corruption. He did not take them to court. He actually jailed them. There's a difference between being taken to court and being jailed. Are
you suggesting that then we use other means other than using the court system?
Yes, there are other means. There are street protests. You've seen what has happened in Bashir in Sudan. It's not that the Sudan does not have legal system. They have laws. But you see also our supreme law, constitution, gives power to the people. And the people might decide to take power in their hands and actually, force you out of office. Because what primarily needs to be done is that once you've been mentioned in this high-level corruption as a senior officer in the government, you're supposed to resign. Ministers have been mentioned; they are still in office. So we are not being seen as being very serious in this war on corruption. Yes, we've had people being arrested. We call it Friday, whatever, arrest. But you see, Kenyans are not interested in people spending in cells. It's not their concern. Our concern is that our money has been stolen. Where is it? I mean, for a period of 2 years, at least we should have started retrieving back our money.
Although one might argue that there is a process and a procedure, but at least we're seeing some steps in the right direction. With those arrests, they're unprecedented in Kenya. We had not seen them before. So it is a step, but it takes time.
Let me tell you, this is the corruption we've reached as a country do not need those steps. You see, this is something that has been entrenched in all the institutions. Even the judges, we are told that some judges are not very some have also been caught in corrupt practices. So are we supposed to really believe that they are going to give us justice?
Because then I
said we start now looking for other ways of dealing with corruption other than the judiciary. And in fact, if there was no procedure of doing corruption, there is no law that allows you to do corruption, then why do you want to subject them to the law? And yet they never used law to do corruption in the first place. So I think using legal means that the same law protects them. It gives them rights, human rights, that is right to bail, right to vote, a lot of rights. So it even protects the worst of a criminal. So why do you use the same law to retrieve money? You'll never get it.
And the reason why it's protecting them, it's because they have not been proved to be criminals, and still they're subject to the law until they've gone through the justice system.
Somebody has been constantly being mentioned. For the last 20 years before, even at the time I was in kindergarten, the people have been mentioned. They are still being mentioned up to now. Really, do you need miracles?
Honorable Baraza, what's your take on that? Do you think that then we should look for other means? Because the court system, as it's blamed sometimes by the executive, seems to be failing.
As a member of parliament and as a person who works with an institution that is the custodian of the laws of this country, I think we should not take this country back to them days where people were prosecuted without evidence. And I want to tell my very good friend Caleb Amisi that this country we have 3 sets of laws that govern such cases. We have the Constitution of the Republic of Kenya, which is supreme. We have the Anti-Economic Crimes Act, and also we have the Criminal Procedural Code, the CPC, that outlines the steps to be followed before someone is charged with a particular offense. Now, comparing this country with China and Sudan or these other countries, I think is wrong because we have different laws. Unless you do some type of a comparison, and then you review your laws to match those of China. You cannot say that you take somebody from the office straight to jail, under what circumstances. We live in a country where people settle political scores using any tools, and you don't want to give them a blank check to advance their selfish political interests. And I also want to tell them that bail is not a punishment. Bail is just a bail to ensure that somebody appears in court when the case is ongoing. So it's not a punishment. It's not a punishment. Even in my own understanding, at times when you are charging a person of the stature of a governor or a member of parliament or a senator or a senior citizen whom you know that is not going to run away, there is no point of asking that person to deposit some bail in court, because bail is just to ensure that you appear in court.
It's a legal procedure.
It's a legal but at times we have it's a legal procedure. But have you heard of something called a free bond? Yes. Or a court bond? The reason why the Deputy Chief Justice was not given bond is because she's already a staff of the Judicial Service Commission, and in the event that she absconds, the JSC has some money already that is supposed to pay her. So that's why she was never asked to. She just signed on a piece of paper.
So are you satisfied with the war on corruption the way it's going so far? Are you satisfied with the pace? Are you satisfied with what you're seeing so far?
I'm not satisfied because there is a lot of inconsistencies. You see now the tone has gone down. I read somewhere in the papers that there were complaints within the National Police Service that some DCI officers were being given bribes to fake cases against certain individuals in this country. I read the newspaper. So when you see there is inconsistency,
so when you say you're dissatisfied with the war as it is, yet you've disagreed with Honorable Amisi in terms of something being done differently, what is it that you're not satisfied with? Is it the pace?
I have disagreed with him because you cannot do something differently outside the purview of the law. Whatever that is it that you want to do differently, it must be within the confines of the existing laws of this country. And I'm saying I'm not satisfied with the war against corruption because it seems we have a lot of inconsistencies, because how long do you take to complete investigations on a particular matter? Definitely not more than 3 months. And when you are carrying out these corruption-related cases, you don't need even to address the media. You do it silently. By the time you are addressing the media, you are taking someone to court. But when you commence an investigation and you tweet, you announce that I have commenced an investigation against Honorable Caleb Amisi,
questionable.
Then it becomes questionable. And also Caleb Amisi will also begin to regroup himself with his team and begin to fight you.
All right.
So these are things that should be done under batch, so that by the time you summon someone to appear and tweet or do a press conference, then you are satisfied that the evidence so far collected are enough, are watertight. You take someone to court, so that the politics now takes a stage when somebody has already been arraigned in court.
In court, all right.
But I wanted to say this. Despite times calls for despite measures, and we are saying we are at an unprecedented level of corruption, that we actually need to start looking for despite measures. Yes, we agree we have laws, we have procedures of handling cases, but remember we have a history of having applied those laws to Goldenberg, having applied those laws to Anglo-Leasing, we have applied it to Chicken Gate. What have we achieved from all those cases? So we are saying the history has taught us a lot of lessons, that you follow this route, and if you're still doing the same thing, then you'll become a stupid man.
And like they say, doing the same thing the same way and expecting different results is a form of madness.
And you become a foolish man.
You see, the problem, Michael, in this country is that leaders flip-flopping. Remember when my good friend was deep in NASA, during that time where the police were cracking them down or the streets when they are engaging in illegal demonstrations, they were saying completely different. They were saying they don't take this country back to those days, that we have democracy, we have the rule of law. Even if when they went